Cannibals have been around for a very long time, and there are various reasons behind it, whether it be ritualistic or self-preservation. Well, here are my top 10 cannibal facts. Number 10. Tastes like pig. Have you ever heard the saying, tastes like chicken, or everything tastes like chicken? Well, according to most cannibals, human flesh doesn't taste like chicken. Instead, many have claimed that it tastes like pork. That's right, human beings taste like pig. A famous cannibal from Germany, Armin Meurs, claimed that while it tastes like pork, it is more bitter and has a stronger flavour. Some Polynesian cannibals claim that the younger the flesh and how it is cooked changes the flavour drastically. Number 9. Cannibalism in the animal kingdom. When you think of animals eating one another, you can imagine the first thought will be to the infamous black widow spider. While they don't always eat their mate, it is a pretty normal occurrence in the world. Over half the population of rattlesnake mothers will eat their stillborn babies in order to reclaim their strength, while sharks will often eat their younger siblings to make room for themselves and preserve their own resources. Number 8. Survival. It is not a new idea that we will eat one another during times of extreme famine. It has been happening for centuries. Our basic instinct to survive will 9 times out of 10 win over our moral standing, especially when faced with starvation. A rugby team survived by eating deceased passengers after their plane crashed in the Andes mountain. It kept them alive during the freezing 2 months they were out there. Number 7. Type of cannibalism. Cannibalism can usually be put into different categories, endo and exo. Endo-cannibalism can be described as ritualistic to honour your deceased family. This was the case for the Four tribe. The other, exo-cannibalism, is the idea that eating someone's flesh is how you steal and obtain the person's life and spirit, capturing their life force through consumption. This is usually done to an outsider or enemy to gain their strength or simply intimidate others. There is, however, a third category, auto-cannibalism, also known as self-cannibalism. This can be defined from biting and eating your fingernails to a more drastic degree of forcing someone else to eat their own flesh. There was a case of a group from South Florida that had kidnapped a man and forced him to eat his own testicles before they skinned him and burned him alive. Number 6. A famous survivor from cannibals. During the 1940s, the Japanese were known to eat the prisoners of war. This was either because there was no more supplies or food, or perhaps they did it to instill fear on the enemy. In 1944, future President of the United States, George Bush Sr., was almost a victim, along with 8 other of his fellow pilots. The Japanese would serve the flesh of the other soldiers with sake, eating all of the flesh, including the liver. Number 5. Ape cannibals. In the late 1970s, it was documented that a team of chimpanzees, a mother and a daughter, go around the community and murder 3 baby chimps. And that's not all. Aside from murdering the babies, the duo then ate all 3 and would have taken a 4th if it had not been for Jane Goodall, whom had intervened and forced them to stop. A clue on why a chimp would act like that has been believed to be because of the rise of human population and their decline in resources that they are trying desperately to preserve. Number 4. European traditions. During the Middle Ages, Europeans partook in some cannibalistic traditions themselves. It was thought that many of the human remains could be used as medicine. Fresh blood was often bought from an executioner after an execution to cure epilepsy. Blood seemed to be the most valued, especially if the blood came from a young virgin female, including menstrual blood. For men, if they were hanged, they had an erection. They were considered the most valuable and their blood was taken. This was because once a neck was snapped, the nerves were severed and the blood of the deceased would rush to the penis and caused it to become erect. Number 3. Mental illness. Some researchers believe that cannibalism, aside from survival or ritualistic tradition, is due to a mental illness, especially for modern day cannibals. Many agree that cannibals are psychopathic. They know what they are doing and do not feel any moral objections to it. It usually starts off as an addictive fantasy that won't stop playing until they finally get to enact the deed. Such is the case with most psychopathic fantasies. It becomes an addiction and many get a high from doing so. The addiction is incurable. Number 2. We could feed a lot. It has been discussed that an average body could give up to 4 kilograms of protein. That's roughly 8 pounds of flesh. That is the daily nutrition for at least 60 adults, meaning a lot of world hunger could be cured. Number 1. Kuru. Now before you run off and go try yourself some human flesh, think twice. You could catch Kuru. Kuru is a fatal condition that is, as it states, incurable. It is the human equivalent to mad cow disease, and you catch it through eating human flesh instead of contaminated beef. Thanks to the Ford tribe in the Papua New Guinea, it was identified during the 1950s. This particular tribe would eat the flesh of the dead for ritualistic reasons. This included the brain, which is the most infectious part. Tremors, slurred speech, hysterical, unnerving laughter, and later paralysis of the whole body. This disease can be in hiding for 10 to 15 years before it begins to take over, and after the symptoms start, most die within that year. Anyway, I hope you liked this week's roundup, and if you want to see another top 10 pertaining to real life things, click here for the top 10 scary holes. And if you want to see the previous top 10, click here for the top 10 anti-piracy methods in games. Anyway, thanks for watching and goodbye.